Derivatives offer the most unpredictable possibility for a collapse of the entire financial system. With perhaps quadrillions in over-the-counter derivatives, our governments and central banks could never have the potential to bail it out. Herein lies the problem. With an ever-increasing amount of garbage debt, how will the bankers bail out the truly too big to fail? You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. Today we're going to discuss, among other things, banks holding $10 trillion of risky derivatives and a lot more than that. Let's begin by talking about Wall Street. Let's talk about all their criminality, everything that they're doing, and how there's this layer in between us and the truth, and I aim to break through that. Well, let's look at this first as we see this MarketWatch article talking about following the biggest drop in 6 weeks for U.S. stocks. Some out there are scratching their heads while others are a little alarmed. See, many in the financial industry often take everything at face value. If you see Warren Buffett investing in a particular stock, all of a sudden that stock is deemed to be safe for the long term. But you can't do that. You can never take anything at face value. Remember, in a case like that, since I mentioned it, the Warren Buffett scenario, he's getting sweetheart deals. He's not getting the same thing you would get if you were to purchase that stock. Look between the lines. Today's sell-off does not make a lot of sense because there wasn't any big economic or corporate news. It is puzzling to see such a delayed reaction to a strong jobs report in an otherwise quiet week. Doesn't this sound a lot like what I've told you countless times? The fundamentals don't matter anymore. It's all computer algorithms, it's all high frequency trading, and it is all waiting for the Federal Reserve's words, not even their actions, but their words. True, markets will have a hard time sidestepping last Friday's strong jobs data, which to some all but guarantee, listen to this, guarantee a Fed interest rate hike just in time for the holidays. The fears that anticipation of the hike could lead to a repeat of the volatility we saw this summer. So think about that for a second. Right now, they're just saying, look, the Federal Reserve, we have excellent numbers for our unemployment. Therefore, Federal Reserve, they're going to increase the interest rates. So they haven't done this now for all of these years, but this is it. December, it's going to happen. It may very well happen, but the question remains, how are they ever going to pay off the debt if the interest rates do increase? I'd really like to see that happen. So let's talk about this. The main article of the day out of the Financial Times, the repeal of part of the Dodd-Frank financial reforms has left big U.S. banks holding $10 trillion of, quote, risky derivatives. They're all risky, just put it that way. Trades on their books according to an investigation by Democrats. Okay. Senator Elizabeth Warren, a liberal Wall Street foe, said the repeal, which sparked a firestorm when it was slipped into the budget bill in December 2014, and I covered it here, had left federally insured banks exposed to dangerous swap trades. So remember this, that we are there to bail out risky derivatives. Bank of America, if I'm not mistaken, did this as they are able to move and manipulate all their derivatives, all their most risky things, put it onto our back. So basically, the FDIC has to somehow bail out trillions upon trillions of dollars, even though they have but a fraction of that. So anyway, let's just continue on with this here. The rule would have required banks to push out swaps trades to entities that are not insured with taxpayer funds. Of course, that's the way it should work. That's not the way it's going to work. We have trillions upon trillions. And in fact, let's get into that right now as I talked about it in my book. This happens to be from the Money GPS Hotpoint, which happens a couple times throughout the book, a very important point. And what we're talking about, and I quote the BIZ, the Bank for International Settlements, 1.5 quadrillion worth of derivatives exist and are traded on the exchanges. Okay, think about that for a second. 1.5 quadrillion. If we look at what I say here, the total values of all countries combined, which because of the illegal data that they've entered has increased since writing my book. Let's just say $60 trillion. That's 25 times more derivatives than there is real value in the world. Now, if you factor in the fact that they're using fake GDP numbers, this number would be even greater. But let's just take it how it is, 25 times greater. So that's the whole value of the entire world, and that's factoring in the derivatives that we know about, using the fake GDP statistics. So we can spell disaster. They can never bail out any of this. It's ridiculous to even suggest that, they come to Davos and suggest we need $100 trillion bazooka. Even if they were to implement that, it's not enough. There's more than that exists, but they may very well need their $100 trillion bazooka because of the hyperinflation that they want to implement right after the real deflation takes into effect. I just want to note this very quickly because I've been covering it just briefly. Russian planes' voice recorders did register an explosion seconds before the crash. Here we go. And this has allowed Russia to give the reasoning to increase the war against ISIS. So whether or not it actually did happen like this, we don't know if it was a provocation. We don't know if it was done intentionally. We don't know any of this yet, but it has allowed Russia to get in there and increase their bombing that they are doing against ISIS. At least that's what we are seeing in the mainstream media. I would also like to mention, this could all be stopped if they just had the US and NATO and everyone else just stop funding ISIS. That would certainly help out a lot. This is out of the AP. Defense Secretary Ash Carter on Saturday accused Russia of endangering the world order, citing its incursions in Ukraine and loose talk about nuclear weapons. Said the US defense establishment is searching for creative ways to deter Russian aggression and protect U.S. allies. What they're saying is, look, you Russia, you China, you guys are actually challenging us, and we don't like that. So you better stop what you're doing and go back to being developed nations. They don't want them to gain any steam. They don't want them to be partnered up. They don't want them to engage in any military activity around the world. That's for the U.S., that's for NATO, and nobody else. It's a little bit silly the way this is all taking place, but, well, we'll just end up covering it on here. Britain names Russia as a major national security threat on par with ISIS. This is huge news. I can't believe this didn't make front page news, but think about that for a second. Russia is on par with ISIS, according to Britain. Now, Britain is obviously, in most cases anyway, on the side of the US. You can see them as one giant entity, and they are definitely against what is happening with Russia and China. They do not want them partnering up. They want this establishment to continue on and with their reign of terror, their real control of the Islamic State. The Washington Times here, this page keeps messing up, but I'll just cover one little thing. As we look at this line right here, the Environmental Protection Agency is coming under increased scrutiny over the accusations that it rigged its own review process to block the Pebble Mine project in Alaska. This happens all of the time. Think about how much collusion there is in between big corporations and the government. If you want to know why Monsanto was allowed to get all of this garbage poison approved into the food supply, it doesn't take much to find out that the CEOs, the highest positions of power within the agricultural department, within Monsanto, continue on their revolving door. It is all to benefit the richest of the rich, the major corporations. This is the way it works. The banking elite, they are the ones who make the laws for the financial system. Don't ever think that the politicians are on your side. It's never been that case, at least in my lifetime and probably in yours as well, you get little hints of positivity here and there, but for the most part, it's all degrading. We need to point it out where it is, and then we need to prepare for ourselves. And what we can do, the best thing that we can do, is to become self-sufficient. Once you become self-sufficient, your reliance on this government diminishes and you gain strength. That's what I would suggest to every single person. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. I truly appreciate that very much. Once again, I want to mention that when you give me thumbs up, it brings the Money GPS videos higher up in the search results on YouTube. When you comment down below, there's more activity. That all brings up the search results for others. So if you want to share in a way without having to share it on your Facebook or Twitter or whatever, you can just give me thumbs up, comment down below, and that helps me to get higher up in the ranking. So I really do appreciate that very much. I've been trying to reply to as many comments as I possibly can, but of course I can't get to all of them, but I do try to look at all of them. I'm consistently looking at them, trying to reply back. If you found this video informative, I know you'll find my book, The Money GPS, even more informative. And if you go over to Amazon, they have a look inside feature that allows you to flip through the pages of the book to see if you like it. Take care.